Why do things in your life never quite want to measure up to what you're wanting it to be? We're going to be talking about standards. What are they? How can you actually raise them? And more on this week of the Relaxed Male on episode number 97. Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hey man, hello and welcome to the Relaxed Male. I am Brian. I am your host for this show, and I am a men's coach. I help men to get past that chaotic area. If you're going through like a divorce or getting fired from a job, losing a job, or those areas where you just find yourself really mired down in the pit of despair. I help coach you out of that so you can actually get back up onto the level you were and even get you up above that. That's what I sit down. I love to help guys out on finding out that all their power that they think they have lost is still right there with them. And if you have any questions, any comments, or are interested, you can always go over to relaxedmale.com/contact, get a hold of me, and I'd love to be able to help you out. If you are a new person listening to the show, man, I want to appreciate you taking out the time of your day to actually listen to the show. See what it is about actually being able to raise your standards. What are your standards? And that's what we're going to be talking about. If you happen to like the show, or you're looking for something new to actually listen to, man, you can go to relaxedmale.com/subscribe. That'll take you over to our subscription page. You can subscribe or follow over on Apple, Google, Spotify if you want. Whatever your podcast platform of choice is, I pretty much have got a link there. And if I don't, I guarantee you we're on Podcast Index. We're on the Apple iTunes or Apple Podcast directory. We can be found just about anywhere. So you can search there, do a quick search for Relaxed Male. Guarantee you're going to see our logo pop up, the guy relaxing against the mountains, and you just follow there, and you'll get each and every one of our episodes, if I could talk today, every Thursday, and be ready for you to listen through the weekend or the following week. So anyhow, today's topic, we're talking standards. And what are they, and why are they so dadburn important? What is it about a standard? So many of today's society seems to really just want to negate standards, take standards and just completely wipe them off the table. Say that they're not important. They're a product of the patriarchy. You'll hear absolutely everything under the sun as to why a standard is such a bad thing. You have what was it about? Sometime in the middle of last year, the Smithsonian and one of their other museums actually put out this whole infographic about talking about race and aspects and assumptions of whiteness and the white culture, and a lot of it is the standards of what our country is. Now, this is not a means to talk about politics. It's wanted to actually put this into perspective as to why I wanted to choose standards so darn bad. Why I wanted to talk about that today. And that is because a few of the things they attacked about was like the rugged individualism, family structure, emphasis on scientific method, history, Protestant work ethic, religion, status, power, and authority, future orientations, aesthetics, holidays, justices, competition, and communication. The rugged individual, that is America. All right. And there are more, we can chop apart. Well, were there more whites going across the doing the rugged individualism, or was it the blacks? We're not talking about that. But the whole idea of America was that we are rugged individuals. We are each in this country, individual men and women, and we go out and we get stuff done. And that was the important part. We had that standard of we get crap done. We go out there, we roll up our sleeves. We are rugged individuals. We conquered the Wild West. We settled it. We turned it into a hospitable area. And yeah, you can talk about what atrocities were done. But if you're going to talk about atrocities, you also need to talk about the good stuff that actually happened. They're talking, family structure. It is important. It is vitally important for a country to have families. And again, there's a subset of people who are dead set on destroying the family, the nuclear family. BLM, for one. They have it in there where they wanted to get rid of the Western idea of the nuclear family. These are things that are absolutely, they're standards for a reason. They worked. They made the point that there's 2.3 children as the ideal social unit. Well, a lot of people like to have 3 kids because they all balanced out. You didn't have a problem of more than one. There's a lot of reasons. Anyhow, still, they aim for 3 kids. Sometimes people would get 2. So that's where the 2.3. The husband is a breadwinner. Yes, that was one of the great things where the wife was able to stay home, take care of the kids, and keep the house and to her standard and set her standards upon where she was going to live. She wanted to have a house that was that emitted peace and harmony. That's what her choice was. She was able to. A lot of people want to try to say that no, men, were forced them to be in the household. No, because there's a lot of times that even back in the pioneer days, the woman had to leave the house to go work because the farm wasn't making enough money. So things like that absolutely happened. Men were proud of themselves, though, to be able to earn enough money to where their wife was able to stay home and take care of the kids. That's one of the things I prided myself on. I was able to continue that. My standard was to make enough money so that my wife wasn't going to have to abandon the kids and pass the kids off onto some set of strangers in a building so that she was able to go work. And because those people, they're there for a paycheck. For the bottom, if you boil it all down, they're there for a paycheck. They're not there. They really don't give a rat's behind about your kid. They may develop an affection. They may develop a bond, but that bond, that affection and all is stronger when it's done by your wife and by you and you being home in the evening. The wife is the homemaker, and they like to try to say the subordinate to the husband. No, I don't know anybody. A lot of misconceptions as to what, there a lot of crap that was actually told in there. But the family structure as a whole was the important thing. To have a family, to have a group of people there who to actually, when they had kids, their purpose was to actually make sure those kids were raised. And that's what I'm trying to help teach a lot of men these days is what's the man's purpose in a family? They are to provide for the family. They are to go out. They are to kill the dragon, drag it back, have plenty of food to eat, and give some away to the neighbors if they are able to. The mom is there to help raise the kids, but it's not just a woman only thing. Men have to be involved in the kids' lives at the same time to make sure their kids grow up in a healthy, happy environment. And that's a lot of times people have taken that and thrown it away, thrown the whole detail of that. Now children should have own rooms. Well, okay, that little keyed structure. No, they don't have to have their own room. It's nice if they can, but they don't have to. That is something society wants to try to state. But no, my kids, the girls didn't have their own room. They had to share a room, but it was something that was done. Emphasis on scientific method. Well, we have a scientific method for a reason because it works and it's proven. And though a lot of people want to try to take the scientific method and throw it out the window, because scientific method is not just, oh, okay, well, we all agree. No, if somebody else doesn't agree, everybody then goes in and discusses it. And there's a lot of discussion. It's not just, hey, you shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. A lot of the stuff you're seeing where they've abandoned the scientific methods, abandoned that standard, has come about in the last year, because you'll have one side touting science and the other side will tout it's science, and neither one. They're too busy not even trying to work out the full details. They're just busy going, well, this is how it needs to be done. This is the way it's going to be done because of science. We've heard the science, and the science is settled. No, the science is not settled. Science is far from settled. We barely know anything about the Wuhan flu, and it's, to try to go off and state that the scientific method is broken or not good, or is a proof of a white culture. No, the proof is a proof of American culture, history. We take pride in our history. Yes. Did we do certain atrocities? Yes. We did some horrible things through the past. Nobody is perfect. Was George Washington a great man? He tried his damnedest to live up to be a great man. Was Thomas Jefferson a great man? He tried his damnedest to be the great man. Was he a perfect man? Were either of them perfect man? Was Benjamin Franklin a perfect man? No, nobody is a perfect man. They had their flaws. They had their problems. Every man, yes, it has a side that they really don't want to, don't talk about. It's not something that they're really, really proud about. But their wins, the accomplishments, the fact that they were able to get 13 colonies to agree, and half of those colonies were in the South, and they wanted to, they were having to try to hold on to slavery while the North half was trying to abolish slavery. And so they had to actually work together to come up with a cohesive form of government that will allow for everybody to be happy. And there were reasons why those compromises happened. Another thing that they claim to be white culture is religion, and Christianity is the norm. Well, I hate to tell them, especially the people who wrote this deal up, but if you want to know who has more Christianity in their system than the whites, it's actually the black community. That is one reason why the black community they still go to church on a very regular basis. They make sure that their kids and their grandkids, and you always hear them talking about, well, their grandma took them to church every single day. And so they did. There's a lot of God, a lot of religion in the black culture. So it's, again, a lot of wrongs, but having religion in your life as a standard, again, is a big thing to have. So there's a lot of standards: status, power, and authority. Well, when you have a standard, you're going to elevate if you have a high enough standard, your power is going to increase. Future orientation. Yes, you want to be able to look forward. To sit in the mud and go, well, I'm in the mud. My pants are muddy. This is terrible. That is not a good way to approach life. That is not a good way to approach anything. And that's one thing I help men to do, is stop playing the victim, sitting in a puddle of mud wondering who got their pants wet, without acknowledging the fact that they got their own pants wet. Time being viewed as a commodity. Well, it is a commodity. It is the only commodity, true commodity. It is the only thing that once spent, it is gone. You cannot get it back. There is no way to get time back. You're not able to travel back in time and get that beautiful, precious moment with your son back. It is done. It's gone. It's out of the way. You have to be looking forward. So there's a lot of standards, aesthetics, based on European culture. Well, that's because the majority of people in the U.S. have some type of European descendant. Now, are there the other half of the population of the U.S. comes from Africa, comes from Asia, comes from Japan, comes from everywhere else. So, but yeah, there's a good deal of people who are here from a descendant. Now, again, I'm kind of going through these real quick, and I understand. I'm just trying to give an example of, these are all standards. And now, and there's others, like I said, competition. Competition is important. Competition is a man thing. Yes, there are women who enjoy a good rousing bout of competition, but men, it's ingrained in us. It is all about competition. We're going to compete no matter what. We take a bottle cap and see who can flick it the farthest. We always make a game out of something, and it's just a way of bonding. Communication, the King's English rules. Well, okay, they're trying to throw the King's English. Well, these are other things that are important to be able to speak in a way that people can understand you. Helps you out tremendously to have that standard, to have a standard where you can speak good English is better than someone who can only speak, hillbilly. All right. Because they're they're going on down all the holler and get ourselves a plug of tobacco. You hear people talk about that, talk in that level. You're going to instantly think their IQ may be a little lower. Now, are they that lower? No, but if you are able to speak eloquently, you're going to be able to have a higher standard of command of the English language. You are able to command the attention of people better when you're able to use English better, when you're amongst English speaking people. If you're around a bunch of Hispanic people, and you sit there and start trying to speak English, it's not going to work. You start trying to speak German to them, it ain't going to work. If you start speaking Spanish, or if they're, Spanish Mexican, they're going to speak. If you're speaking Mexican to people from Mexico, because Spanish is a different dialect than the Espanol that is spoken. See exactly what I mean. Spoken in Mexico they're two different things. And if you try to speak actual, Spanish, Spain type of Spanish over to them, they're going to look at you like, what the heck did you just say? We have standards. Those standards are there for a very good reason. Personality wise, you have standards in your life. What is a standard? Well, a standard is a level of quality that you personally accept. The same as in society, in your state, there's a level of quality that your state's going to accept as a society. Then country-wise, there is a level of quality that we're going to accept as a standard. If it dips below that, we're not going to like it. If it goes above it, well, we're going to like that. We raise our standards for a reason. Capitalism did a wonderful job of taking us out of the dirt and bringing us up to where we are now. And sadly, there are a lot of people, even in the United States, who hate the fact that because of our hard work, because of our work ethic, because we have a standard of priding ourselves in the fact that we do work, and we do work consistently and dependably, that we are now at a higher level than someone like China, who is browbeating their people into working at a minimum level. When it comes to our standard, too many people sadly tolerate things that are below what their standards are. And this is where people start doing stuff and it kind of irritates you, gets on your nerves. That's what happens when people are below your standard. You come across somebody who views their level of their standards at a lower level than what you do. And they start doing stuff that is substandard for your expectations. You're not going to want to pay that person. If a person does a piss poor job as to what you think your value is, that is below standard operations. And so you're not going to want to pay them. Say they're going to remodel a bedroom for $3,000 and they get finished and the sheetrock is not level. It's not smooth and it doesn't look right. And the paint's just kind of halfway slopped on there. You've got wires hanging out where it should be. There should be a plug in. You've got everything's halfway done, and he comes up to you and goes, all right, well, that'd be $4,000. Are you going to pay him that? No, because he did a level that was so far below your standard that you couldn't help but recognize what that standard was and that how poor that standard was. And so you're going to want to make sure that you're going to, oh no, I'm going to give you, $750 for the half-ass job you did. But if the guy comes along and he does everything, he even adds some crown molding to the top. And I mean, he gets everything just, takes what you thought was $5,000 worth of work and throws in $7,000 worth of work. He's going to come up to you and go, no, that's going to be $4,000. And you're going to go, dude, here's $5,000. You rocked it, man. Holy smokes. You did an amazing job. You're going to actually want to give him more because you see that standard and you want to be able to meet that standard. So there's a lot of reasons why standards are important. And we have standards in all sections of our lives, from our health to our relationships to our careers to what we drive, everything. We have standards. If you're used to driving around in a 5-year-old Cadillac that's no older than 5 years old, when you get into a 1982 Yugo, you're going to be like, oh my God. You're going to physically be revolted by that such low drop of standard. And some people may, well, maybe the person you're helping is that's all they can afford. Well, that's a completely different thing. If you were expected to be having a Yugo when you're used to a 5-year-old Cadillac, you're going to be revolted by the implication that you are supposed to accept this. And this is coming on. This is stuff that sadly I see might be happening down the way. We have a set of standards. You have a personal set of standards. You have a set of standards for your family. And like I said, when it comes to your health, you may be somebody who you identify as a walker. I walk all the time. I walk here and there and up and down and all around. That could be the case. And if you fall below, I walk at least 15 minutes every day. Maybe that's your standard, that you walk 15 minutes every day and you go to bed that night and you didn't walk 15 minutes that day. That's really going to bug you. That's a standard that becomes a habit. If you pride yourself on being in shape and then you step on and your whole life you've been 210 pounds because you're 6'3", and all of a sudden you look down and you're 250. Well, you've let your standards have dropped. All of a sudden, you've got more weight than you're comfortable at having. So you're going to start finding ways to ditch the weight. Your relationships, if you've got a wife who is not living up to what your standards are, that you start voicing it. Now, but sadly for us, a lot of us guys, we're nice guys. So when it comes to something that is subpar, we're not going to speak up about it because our standard is we don't want to have a fight. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to have emotional levels get too high. And because of that, we lower our standards to try to keep the balance even. But because we drop our levels, because we drop our standards, our wife at that time, when we married, we may have had a higher standard, but all of a sudden we've dropped our standards to a low level that is so low that it starts to bother our wife. And so we end up essentially are shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't want to make a mess. We don't want to have a scene. Well, because you don't want to have a scene, you're going to end up, you've now taken your standards and lowered them because you could have just gotten through, set your standard of, I will be uncomfortable for 5 minutes so that we can keep our standards high. But we don't want to do that. And that's one reason why marriage quality often drops with a nice guy. All of a sudden, the woman you thought was just this magnificent, beautiful, wonderful woman, she's gone run off with your best friend. Well, how could she? You never saw that coming. Well, no, you didn't, because you were too busy trying to make sure everything was safe and okay, that you didn't even try to bother doing the hard stuff. You were playing it small when the standard that she was needing was, over your head, was a lot higher than what you were wanting to do. Your career, that's one reason why your level of income may be too darn low, is because your standard of work is not what the standard of work the boss is needing. got to figure out, how do I get my standard level up not high enough to where the boss wants to give me a promotion or pay me more money. Standards work in everywhere. If you are working with a guy whose standards are lower than yours, it's going to really start to irk you. You may not even understand why it irks you. Why every time Connor comes walking around here, all of a sudden he just rubs you the wrong way, no matter what he's doing. And that's because his standard is not your standard, and your body and your mind instantly accept the fact that he's a low standard dude, and you've got a higher standard. So you can actually do some stuff. You could actually even take that where the guy's standard is too low and start mentoring him and bring that his standard up to your standard. And maybe then all of a sudden y'all are working like a well-oiled machine. So how do you raise your standards? Well, there's a lot of different ways, different depending on what it is. Like in relationships, it's good to set some healthy boundaries. If you've got somebody who is always, say, a boss or a coworker who's always stepping over you, you need to set that boundary. Go, no, I'm not going to do your work for you. That is your work. I have my work. You do your work. I do my work. And when we have problems with our work, we can come and collaborate with each other. But I am not doing my work for you. Things bother you. Go ahead. Lance that damn boil when it starts to show up, because it's going to be a lot less of a mess to deal with if you get that taken care of right then, instead of letting it build up and fester and get even worse, because eventually it's going to erupt, and it's going to erupt at the wrong darn time, and it's just going to stink. And and this is speaking boil and literal boil and literal and figuratively, as in the situation. It just happens at the worst time, and you're going to have to then deal with it whether you wanted to or not. At that moment, it becomes so bad. Once that standard gets so low, you've got to deal with it then. So it's better to voice it when it starts to bother you. When you notice that it's bothering you, recognize what is it about that's bothering you, and then voice that. Tell the guy, dude, I'm tired of correcting your spelling. Here's a program called Grammarly. Use it. Run your report through Grammarly once. It'll save you for about 4 hours of editing. All right. You can stop accepting subpar work. Why are you allowing that? Look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you allowing that substandard living? Why is your family not at the level that you see them as? Well, it could be that you're not leading them good. It could be that there's other things going on. There's other distractions, and there's things that are happening that are causing you to that standard to be dropped. Maybe it's because you're not explaining the importance of why that standard is set so high. Maybe it's time to actually start helping your son to achieve and understand and see what the worth of that standard is. The standard is a limiting belief just as much as the worst victim mindset. Because if you have the standard of you're always the victim as opposed to always being the victor, who's going to win more? If your standard's the victim, you're not going to get near as much as if your standard is the victor. Recognize your value in the world. You do have value. No matter what you think, no matter what you were raised with, you may have had the worst parents and they told you were going to amount to nothing. You were just worse than a piece of chewed bubble gum stuck on that a dog pooed on and somebody stepped in. All right. It's absolutely false if someone to think that you have no value. You do provide a value. You just have to be able to find that value. You do have value. Find the value and start raising yourself. Start recognizing why your value is there. What are you actually worth to your family, to your kids, to your friends, to your boss? Find that value. It is there. There's a reason why they chose you, and that's because they saw value in you, even though you didn't see value in yourself. From there, start attacking those limiting beliefs. When you start seeing, oh, well, that's just how Connor always is. No, that's not right. That's not true. You see that Connor has more value. Start helping him bring his value up to your standards. we can bring each other up. Tide raises all boats. So, and you can actually start a culture in your work to where everybody starts to realize and bring everybody up. If a person's not willing to hang and doesn't want to recognize that standard, guess what? That person will eventually weed himself out. You won't have to worry so much about all the other crap that goes on with trying to run a business or trying to raise a family, because when your family is all in simpatico, you're going to be, y'all are all going to understand, hey, this is what we are. We are good ones. We're going to, we do this. We do not let, crap slide. We face the facts right then and there. These are all wonderful things to actually think. These are standards, mantras, mission statements, all help you set your level of standards. So if you find yourself with a low standard and you're wanting help to get yourself up to a better standard, find that value in yourself, and you need help, man, I've got things that can actually help you with that. You can come over to relaxedmale.com/brotherhood of men. That is a men's group, and we are all dedicated to make sure that you see the value that you have, get you to raise that value and to start seeing the success of having a higher value. Or if you are not really sure about working with a group of guys, you can do one-on-one. I've got men's coaching that works for you. We meet every other week. We help you, talk it through. We look at it, we work it out. And then every other week you go out and go and implement the new strategy, and change that new habit. And we work with each other for a full year. So if there's something you're interested in, again, you can go to relaxedmale.com, and at the top, you're going to see Work with Brian. Click that, fill out the form, and we can start working together. So guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time listening and you liked what you heard, you go to relaxedmale.com/subscribe. If you're listening on your on a particular podcasting app, then somewhere on there you should see a subscribe to the show. You'll get it every Thursday. It's and without ever having to even think about it. You can also, guys, big ask that I'm going to do is, if you got any value from this show, go share it out onto your social media. Share that out. Let everybody know that there is this podcast called The Relaxed Male. There are you can find it just about anywhere, but it's there to help us men become the best men possible, to become successful men, and to become powerful men, and embrace the masculinity that we have been blessed with. And with that, guys, I am going to go ahead and let you go. I can't talk all of a sudden. And I hope y'all have a great rest of the week. We will see y'all next Thursday. So till then, bye.